Previously on Baby Boomer Tales. My name is Gator Earl. I just moved from Switz City, Indiana. I'm heading west. Gonna go up, see the wild, wild west. Indiana was a good place, but I'm now 18 years old. It's time for me to get out on my own. Oh, here's a little place that sells gasoline. I need some gas. Let's pull in here. Ooh, that's funny. 67 cents a gallon if I pump it, and $1.67 if they pump it. I wonder what that means. Hello, stranger. Welcome to Kate's General Store. Hello, sir. I was just wondering about this gas price. It says 67 cents a gallon if I pump it and $1.67 if you pump it. Is that correct? That is correct, young man. Where are you from anyway? I'm from Switz City, Indiana, sir. Now, you don't need to call me sir. That's okay. Now, if Pop comes around, you might want to do that just to get on his good side. But you don't need to do that with me. My name's Homer Cates. Nice to meet you, sir. I mean, Homer. Homer, sir. My name is Gator Earl. Gator Earl? What kind of name is Gator Earl? Well, it's a long story. Let me finish this gas up here for a second. There. You want to go up on the porch and let me tell you about my name? Gator Earl, I couldn't think of anything else I'd rather do than sit up on that porch and shoot the breeze with you a little bit. Let's go. So you say you're from Indiana, huh, Gator Earl? Yes, Homer, I am from Indiana. And what kind of name is that? That Gator Earl? It sounds like you're from Florida or something. No, sir, I'm not. I'm from Indiana. My parents were raised there, and my grandparents were raised there, and I spent the first 18 years of my life there. So tell me about the Gator part. Where did you ever get that name? Well, really, Gator is my last name, and Earl is my first name. But somewhere all through school, all my friends, and then my teachers, and then everyone in town, and finally my folks just always call me Gator Earl. So your family name is Gator? Yes, Homer, it's Gator. So what's your dad's first name? Do they say Dad Earl, or Gator Dad, or Daddy-O? No, sir. His first name is Later. So Later Gator's his name. Later Gator? Ha 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 ha! What's so funny about that? There's nothing wrong with that, Gator Earl. Oh, that's good, because I was just joshing you. My dad's name's Joseph, and my mom's name's Elizabeth. I have 2 sisters and a brother, and I'm the oldest, and I have struck out to be on my own, because I didn't want to live forever in Switz City. It's a nice enough place, but there's only about 200 or 300 people live there. Well, that's about how many there are here in some city. We go to Bloomfield for the big town. It's got a couple thousand people. We go to Wheattown. I think I just drove through that. Yeah, coming from that way, you probably did. They didn't give you a ticket, did they? No, sir, they didn't give me a ticket. Well, that's good. That's really good. I'll tell you what. Uh-oh, here comes trouble. Homer, there's a car parked at the gas pump and they're not pumping gas. I know, Pop. That's because this customer here just pumped a whole full tank of gas. He's getting ready to pay me for it. His name is Gator Earl. Gator Earl, let me introduce you to Pop. Pleased to meet you, Gator Earl. Pleased to meet you, sir. I like that. I like being called sir. Yes, sirree. I like that. Reminds me of the days in the big one. Yes, it does. Anyway, Gator Earl's just driving through the country looking for somewhere to land. Yes, sir, Pop. I'd like to go somewhere where it's not as hot as Indiana. So where do you think you want to go? Well, I don't really know. Oh, this is a good place. Weather's nice and dry. The evenings are nice and cool. Yeah, well, I've got to find a job I really like, 'cause my money won't last me forever, but I have something to tide me over. You know what I mean? Now, I wasn't supposed to say that. My mama told me not to talk about money around strangers. Shucks there, Gator Earl. I'm not a stranger. Yes, you are, Homer. You're stranger than fiction. Now, Pop. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that. I'm sorry. Well, maybe I should be going. What kind of work you looking for? I don't really know. Do you know of a job or something around here? Well, yes, I do. Apple's Cafe. You can see it from here. See it down there and see that sign. It says Apple's Cafe. They're looking for help. Really? Yes, sir. And it's a good place to work, I'm sure, because I go there every day and check them out. If they're slacking, I'd have told you. Well, I don't have anywhere to live. Do you know of a place to live? Place I could rent? You know, a place that's not too expensive? Place that doesn't have any rats or cockroaches or any of that stuff? Pop, do you know a place? I don't know a place. There's not that many places around here. Well, yes, I happen to. Mrs. Dumas, she has a unit available. Mrs. Dumas? I like taking groceries down to her. She always tips you a quarter. You can almost take that to the bank. Where's that at, sir? Well, you just go down to Apples, turn left, and go a half block down. You see the sign, Riding the Trails, units available. That's what the sign says. Maybe I'll go check that out. So, Gator Earl, you like fishing? Yes, sir. I like fishing. Gator Earl, you like playing golf? I don't know. I've never played golf. It looks like fun. You know, I'm pretty athletic. I played a lot of basketball in Indiana. They like to play basketball in Indiana. Well, if you stick around, we'll go fishing, Gator Earl. Hope you get the job if you like it. Go in there and ask for Kelly. Yes, sir, I will. Well, I better get busy. Day's not getting any longer. Very nice to meet you two. It's really been a pleasure. I'm glad I stopped for gas. How much do I owe you, Homer? Dale, that's $4.57. Man, you'd have owed me a lot more if I'd have pumped it. But you know what? I haven't pumped gas in years. Here's $5. Let me get you some change. You might find what you need and more at Homer Kate's General Store. You might find what you need and more at Homer Kate's General Store. Who was that? Hi, Jerry. That was Gator Earl. He's a new friend I made. Hi, this is Jim. Let me just take a few minutes to explain where the cast of characters here at Kate's General Store come from. Homer, maybe he's my alter ego, I'm not sure. I had a great uncle on my dad's side named Homer. and I've just taken the ball and run with him. He's kind of a goob, but I love him a lot. A lot of ways I relate with him, and a lot of ways I wonder where he's coming from. Katie, his wife, is just a figment of my imagination, yet when it comes right down to it, speaking of wives, maybe I hit that one pretty close to home. Kitty, their daughter, I just wanted a daughter with a name that kind of rhymed with the mom's name. So we have Katie and Kitty. She's never spoken on this podcast, and she probably never will. Pop, my grandpa on my dad's side was called Pop by my cousins. I always wanted to be called Pop by my grandchildren, but they seem to shine on Papa instead. So if that's okay with them, the only place we'll have Pop is here on Kate's General Store. That's okay with me. Jerry is named after two Jerrys in my life. Both of them are deceased now. One was from my hometown back Colorado, and the other is a friend here in Kansas that was just a year or two older than me, and he passed away several years ago. So I kind of blended the two, but when it comes right down to it, Jerry is the one character in Kate's General Store that is most like me. Sparky, Jerry's dog, that's a little more complicated. My grandparents used to have a dog named Sparky, but I don't really remember him except for old home movies. But just like in Jerry's Journal episode from clear back a couple years ago, Jerry's wife had a little club that my wife was also in called the Sparkies because they give off such a spark, I reckon. So that's where the name of the beloved dog comes from. We also have Mrs. Dumas, and she has no speaking roles either, and yet she's playing a bigger part all the time because Pop has taken a shine to her. In real life, she owned the Trail Riders Motel back in my hometown. She always tipped me a shiny dime whenever I delivered her groceries to her. And then Tommy, the leader of the band that plays on the hoedowns outside of the gas station in the summertime. That character was borrowed from a book series that I truly love. Tommy was a musician in those books, and he is the leader of the Taters and Gravy on our podcast. Horace is a blended character from two Horaces that I knew when I was growing up. One Horace would always walk from out in the country where he lived to town to buy his goods for the week. Anybody that ever knew him, if they drove past Horace when he was walking to town or walking home, would stop and offer him a ride, and he was always thankful to get in your vehicle. The other Horace was a world-class skier in the early 1900s, and also he and his wife were great artists. This Horace, opposed to the other Horace, barely ever said a word. So you'll never hear our Horace ever say a word. And unlike the one Horace that walked to town, our Horace has now gotten himself a tractor to drive to town in. So that's a little bit of history on how I got these characters. The reason I introduced Gator Earl to Kate's General Store was, for years and years, I have bothered my friends and my friends' children and my family on whenever there's a young lady pregnant, I would pester her and her husband to please name that baby Gator Earl. My middle name is Earl. I don't know where I ever came up with that, but the last time I did it, my nephew and his bride just had their first child, and I asked her if the next time they had a baby, if they'd ever consider naming that baby Gator Earl, if it was a little boy. She looked at me like I was crazy. Now, she's a very, very good-natured and kind of jokey kind of young woman, and I could just tell by the way she kind of looked at me that I needed to do something else with Gator Earl. So my whole intention is, by me bringing him on the show, that I'll stop pestering everybody I know to name their kid Gator Earl. Let's see if it works. Now, one little side note here on Gator Earl. He says he's from Switz City, Indiana. I didn't just pull that town out of a hat. That's where my dad was born and that county is where my ancestors on my dad's side first settled before my grandfather moved to Nebraska and my dad later moved to Colorado. So there you go. Indiana's in my blood. I need to go to Switz City and see what it's all about. Everywhere in life, through thick and through thin, if you're kind and agreeable, life is easier on everybody involved. You can find us at babyboomertales.com. There's pictures of me and pictures of the country I speak so much about. Also links to our Facebook page and etc. Thank you for riding along today. Old Homer and I really appreciate it. I'll be back next Wednesday. Peace out.